Today, we're going to talk about the role of the mandated reporters in Colorado. My name is April Jenkins. I'm the Child Protection and Prevention Manager with the Colorado Department of Human Services, Division of Child Welfare. I'm hopeful that this information will prove to be helpful in learning more about your role as a mandatory reporter. As we go through this micro-learning today, you will be guided on how recent changes to mandatory reporter laws in Colorado may impact you and where you can learn more. Before we start, it's important to understand if you are a mandated reporter. Currently, there are approximately 40 professions in Colorado that are listed as mandated reporters. To learn more about this, you are asked to read Colorado Revised Statute 19-1-307 or simply visit our CO4 Kids website to learn more. Some common professions listed are school professionals, medical professionals, counselors, therapists, school social workers in general, law enforcement, and firefighters. Today's agenda includes what new laws in Colorado impact mandatory reporting, what your role as a mandatory reporter is, and where do you go to learn more. House Bill 25-1188 is called the Mandatory Reporter Bill. On September 1st, 2025, a new law went into effect in Colorado regarding your role as a mandatory reporter. The bill outlines the changes to the mandatory reporter law in the Colorado Children's Code, Colorado Revised Statute 19-3-304. Some of the most recent changes to the law is a person should make a report as reasonably possible, but no later than 24 hours after receiving the information. A person is not required to make a report outside of their professional capacity that would require the person to make the report. However, there is nothing preventing someone from making a report of abuse or neglect. Written into House Bill 25-1188, there is no longer a requirement for victims' advocates or someone employed by or an agent of or a contractor for an attorney who is providing legal services to make a report. A person required to report known or suspected child abuse or neglect shall not make a report due to a family's or child's race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or disability status. A person specified to required to report known or suspected child abuse or neglect shall not delegate the duty to make the report required to another person who does not have firsthand knowledge of the suspected child abuse or neglect. An entity that employs a mandatory reporter may develop protocols regarding the process to making a report, but must comply with state law. Employers are not allowed to deter or impede a person from filing a report. New law was written into 25-1188 that allows a county to confirm if a report is duplicative and then allow the reporter to get a report ID versus needing to make a new report. Current rule is being drafted that will give counties more guidance on this process. So when should you call the hotline? Number one is when harm has occurred or when danger exists. As a mandatory reporter, these changes are important to know about since it impacts so many professions in our state. Not only do these changes ask us to reflect more on our reasons for calling, but also our requirements for how and when we report have changed. Later on in this micro-learning, I will tell you more about how to access the new mandatory reporter training for our state that was released on September 1st, 2025. One thing to also think about, and this training does highlight very well, is when you should consider alternatives to calling the hotline. Specifically called out in House Bill 25-1188, a person shall not make a report due to a family's or child's race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or disability. As reporters, we must recognize that there are times when families experience resource challenges such as food insecurity or housing instability. It is important to recognize possible implicit bias when considering making a call to report child abuse or neglect, especially when there have been no harm or dangerous circumstances that exist. When families are reported to the hotline, it should be because the caller is concerned about a child or youth being a subject of known or suspected child abuse or neglect. If a caller does not suspect child abuse or neglect and wants the family to have resources and supports, it may be worth considering alternatives to reporting the family to Child Protective Services. As a reminder, anyone can call in a child abuse and neglect report, but mandatory reporters are legally required to report as outlined in the Colorado Revised Statute 19-3-304. Again, to make that report, you can call 1-844-CO4-KIDS to report the concerns. And if a child is in immediate danger, you can call 911. When you make that call, you're going to be prompted to go to the county where the child resides. And if you simply don't know, it's okay. You can still make the report. There are many ways in order to take the training and understand more about your role as a mandatory reporter in Colorado. If you're a part of the general public, there is going to be a link provided at our CO4Kids website where you can access this training. There's also the training available on LMS. LMS is our learning management system that is used for child welfare certification, such as caseworker, supervisor, or kin foster family. If you do not have an active LMS account, you can take the training via the CO4Kids website. Do not create a new LMS account just to access this training. It is free and available to you through our website. 211 is another helpful resource for families in Colorado. If you do not have reasonable suspicion of abuse or neglect and believe that a family may benefit from resources, you can direct them to 211 to find resources. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to me at april.jenkins@state.co.us to learn more. Thank you.